From garage sales to thrift store aisles, we hunt for treasures, stacking them in piles. Hustling hard, making deals all day, flipping finds, turning profit our way. Pure Hustle Podcast guides our quest, learning tricks to be the best. On eBay we make our name, reselling dreams, winning the game. Pure Hustle Podcast guides our quest, learning tricks to be the best. On eBay we make our name, reselling dreams, winning the game.
Welcome to Pure Hustle Podcast. I'm Mike.
This is Orlando, and we're on episode 450, an update episode.
That's right, 450 episodes in, and man, we are super excited. We love our update episodes because these are the episodes where we get to talk about what's going on in our life reselling-wise, what's going on in the world of reselling with our reselling news. Sometimes it is like earth-shattering breaking news. Sometimes it's some niche stuff that only resellers find interesting. And then we get to give you those spicy bolos, those things you should be on the lookout for when you're at garage sales, thrift stores, estate sales, Facebook Marketplace, eBay arbitrage, all the things. So yeah, we're super excited for this. So Orlando, how are things going, man?
Well, you know, it's good. I'm grateful for eBay. Sales keep coming through as always, even though I put minimum effort in the last few months. I did go sourcing. I did start listing, but you know, I remember being full time. Like it was like intense, right? It was like get up and source all day and go home and process stuff and then take pictures and listing at least 25 items a day, right? On when things were good. And I got to tell you, there's a part of me that's like, I respect all the full-time sellers out there because it is a hustle, right? Like I remember when, before I shifted back to part-time, I remember I was feeling it, right? I was like, okay, I love selling on eBay. It's good, but I wish I had systems in place by now where I wasn't doing all the pictures and all the listing and all the shipping. And I would say one of the reasons that people are able to scale is because they have things figured out, right? But you and I, we were always kind of like, eBay is kind of this vehicle, right, to wherever we need to go, or maybe it's temporary, but it'll always be with us. The temporary meaning like temporary part-time, temporary full-time. But it's been good. It's been good. I have had issues with not locating inventory, so that's been fun. It's interesting. Like, I really do wish eBay would give you an option, like, or maybe give you like 3 freebies, like if you don't locate something, right? Because people get to cancel stuff all day long, right? And as a buyer, they get no negative things, right? No, not at all. It doesn't matter. I mean, who knows how many times some people cancel? Because I know some people, what they do is they put in an offer to like 15 of the same item, and then whoever gives them the best deal, they'll cancel the others. Right. And so I'm like, okay, why can't we as sellers, or maybe as a tier, like, you know, if we've been a top rated seller for a long time or you sold stuff for a while. Now, at first I want to admit it is my fault, right? If I can't locate items, it's because of the move. It's because I didn't take, you know, better action to unpack things and organize things and so on. But there's a part of me that's kind of like, all right, you know, eBay should give people that have been selling for a long time. I mean, I've been selling for 13 years on eBay. Right, I have 100% positive feedback. I've been a top-rated seller for, I don't know, probably 10 of the years that I've been full-time. Full-time and part-time, but, you know, serious about eBay. So, I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, hey, you know, I would love it if eBay kind of gave us some leeway. It is interesting, though, because, you know, I got left a message, and I'm pretty sure that this message will be gone eventually. But, you know, somebody was saying that I was being shady, that I canceled the transaction. And on this one, I did, you know, accidentally click Buyer chose to cancel and
Accidentally clicked.
yeah, accidentally clicked. And the person like went into a deep dive like investigation about it, like, hey, are you gonna call eBay? Are you gonna figure this out? Are you gonna switch it? And they left me this long message about like, yeah, the buyer refunded me. Yeah, the buyer sent me a coupon. But this was an entirely shady experience.
Make
Why
sure you're
not
talking into the
admit-
mic. Yep, there you go.
Oh yeah, this is a completely shady experience. Why not admit about the cancellation? Guess how much this item was worth? Just guess.
$23,
Lower.
$12.
$12. $12. I gotta tell you, anytime I've had issues with people, it's always been low end items. Always.
I mean, it's because when people are buying lower end items, money's more important to them. Like if you're on a tight budget, $12 means something. Whereas if you're buying more expensive items like high end items, you probably got money to spend. You're less concerned about the impact of your money.
But like, how much? I don't know. How lonely is your life that you have to spend the time to investigate something and then to leave a super drawn out message?
I mean,
Like,
I get
I've
it.
never-
I'd probably be the same way. I mean, because I had that
You would
issue
be that guy? No way.
Well,
I don't believe that about you.
I mean, if I bought something, I'll be honest. Like, if I bought something on eBay and then I got a buyer request to cancel and I didn't, and it's because they didn't have it. Like, I mean, I get it because I'm a seller, but if I wasn't a seller and going through all that, I mean, I wouldn't be happy about that at all. I'd be like, I did not request to cancel. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you canceled this. And then if I knew, well, that could be because of your concern about your metrics, well, then now do I even trust the metrics on eBay anymore? Like, I'd be frustrated. I'd be pretty upset about that because I had a similar thing happen where, I mean, it was different, but I told this story where I bought a piece of furniture. It was like a dresser, and I paid for it, and the company had it in shipping. Like, it was status as shipping, and then all of a sudden it fell off, and then it was canceled. And then they were like, oh, sorry, we sold you the wrong one. Like, that one should have been priced a lot more. And I was like, well, the money already came out of my bank. You took my money. You had it said as shipped. Like, at that point, like, I feel like you need to ship it to me. Like, so I get, if they would have said like, well, you requested us to cancel, I'd have been like, no, I did not request to cancel. You promised something and you didn't deliver it. Like, I get why people would be upset.
I don't know. I mean, to leave messages like, would probably not shop from the store again. Shady. Like, come on. Like, seriously, over a manga book? Like, I'm sorry. Like, that's basement dweller activity. Like, I'm just not. I don't know. I don't understand. Because, mistakes happen, right? I don't know. I'm kind of trying to find the middle of the road. I knew the moment that like they started asking questions and all. I was like, all right, this is gonna turn south, and it is what it is. But eBay's been good to me. I've had moments where I've had buyers go on there and like throw these crazy rants, and you call eBay and you're like, hey, how does this buyer even know that this is even true? How do they know? Like, for example, one time I truly did have an item out of stock, and I said, hey, I'm sorry, it's out of stock, whatever. And then they left me a negative feedback saying that I sold it to a higher bidder, that the whole reason I canceled was to get more money on it. And I'm thinking, how did this person come to that conclusion? Like, what led them to that conclusion?
Yeah, but that's a different thing. I mean, I get that. Like, that's them just grasping for straws and being upset about something. But come on, Orlando. Like, we all do it. Like, we've talked about it on the podcast. Like, if you request, like, if you tell your buyer, hey, I'm sorry, I don't have this. Like, would you be willing to take a, discount on something else in my store or something like that? And if they never reach back to you and say, like, sure, go ahead and cancel, or yes, I'd like this, you sometimes select buyer request cancel. Like, hey, they never confirmed. And if you do that, I mean, you're running the risk. I mean,
I do think it's.
I mean, come on, chat. Let me know, chat. Am I crazy here? Like, what would you do in this situation? Like, do you have a little bit of empathy for the buyer?
I'm gonna feel so judged in the chat here. So I own it. So it was my fault. I couldn't locate. Now, I will tell you, there's many times, and I think on this one it's true, that I did sell this and somehow it ended up relisted. eBay has done that. I can't prove it. I don't have documentation because I don't know how it happens. But we've all been there, where you're like, where is this item? And then you find out that it sold like 6 months ago, and you're like, why is this item relisted? right? Mike, I think you can admit that that's happened to you, and it's happened to many people.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Here, Zeke Boudreau says, I was accused of canceling the item so I could sell it locally for more money. That's what I mean. Like, why? That's what I mean. Like, what? I don't know. I guess I'm more of like, hey, I assume the best about people until they show me, the worst, and then that's when I start making that judgment call, right? But not everybody is built the same. Hey, want to say what's up to everybody here? Zazzle Pug 3, what's going on? And hello, how's it going, Zeke? We just talked to you. Anik Alexander, thanks for joining us. Thanks for everyone else that is just watching. By the way, in this update podcast, we're always available to ask questions. And ask questions. We might ask questions, but to answer questions. Always love feedback. But outside of that, I'm just happy. Like, eBay sales have been good. I will say, and we'll talk about this later on, I do think the current economic climate is maybe leading to more eBay sales. I don't know. Maybe it's not, but I very much believe that right now things are better than usual. I'm going to be interested in what the Q2 results show later on in the year. So what about you, Mike? What's going on with you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, nothing huge. I mean, a few little sales here and there. I haven't been listing as much as I've liked to. I'm coming into the end of my school year, which normally as a teacher, there are some things that kind of ramp up as the end of the year, which, it's kind of normal. But in a lot of ways, things chill out, right? Like, you're dealing with grades and finals, which is a thing. But, usually as a teacher, it's not so bad at the end of the year. But I've taken on a lot of extra responsibilities at my school. I've picked up some like promotions and some extra tasks that I'm doing. And so this is the busiest I've ever been the end of the year. Plus, I'm trying to kind of plan an upcoming vacation. Plus, I'm trying to sell my house and buy a new house. And let me tell you what, I am in like the serious like back and forth negotiations and contingencies and offers being denied and trying to be more competitive with offers and dealing with offers on my house. And I don't love this. I don't love this, especially when it's like, this is a place to live. If I had multiple properties, I'd probably enjoy this a little bit more because it's more of an investment and not like this also comes with timing as far as like when do I have to have things packed up? Where am I going to put my chickens? Like all of that comes into play. So I've been a little busy for listing. But once I get through here with the end of my school year, I'm really planning on whether or not I move, which that's the goal. The goal is to move. Whether or not I move, I want to, I think I mentioned this, I think on a previous episode, I think I'm going to go through all of my listings. I'm going to get all my stuff that's currently in my, my death piles, get those listed. And I would say, I hate to say this, but about 50% of the items in my store are not items I would happily pick up today. And maybe they were good buys when I bought them. But we've both kind of moved a little bit more to the fast nickel mindset as opposed to the slow dime. And a lot of my stuff that I purchased was under that slow dime mindset. Wait for the right buyer, buy a bunch of stuff in bulk. And even if it takes a while to sell, it's almost like, cannon fodder, like little things here and there, like, okay, that'll sell. It's good. But now it's just not worth it. For a lot of the items I have to sit and wait and to move again, because I've moved my inventory so many times. If I could count, if I had $1 for every time I had to like move my inventory, I'd have like $5. But that's still a lot of times to have to like full on take your inventory out of one storage place, move everything in a moving truck to another storage location. And I just don't want to do that again. So I think I'm going to pretty much like fire sale my store. I think I'm going to, over the next few weeks, start putting things on like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% off sales just to get items moved, because that does two things for me. One, it's got that cash flow. I could use the cash during a home buying process, moving process. So that would be beneficial. Plus, of course, a lot of that cash stays into the business, stays into my eBay business. So then I have a little bit more to play with as I'm trying to buy different things, because I've enjoyed a little bit more recently with the time I've had, kind of doing more like bulk buys of niche items, which takes a little bit more capital, right? You got to be willing to come in and drop $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, as opposed to like going to a garage sale and spending $50 at a couple of garage sales. But I'm holding on to items for too long. And so I think it's going to be worth it for me to just clear my inventory. I'd rather ship it than move it, So yeah, I think that's where I'm at right now. Is I'm going to spend a couple of weeks and just really go through and clean out my store to the point where I'll hang on to the stuff that I know is worth hanging on to for a higher buyer. But for the most part, I think I'm just going to flash sell stuff. And then I think that's going to put me in a good spot, because I think looking at inventory that you don't love, especially when it's in death piles, it's the worst. It's like soul eating. It's not enjoyable. You don't want to list certain things. Whereas if I can kind of almost get a fresh start with maybe half the inventory I have now, but it's all good inventory, and then buying better inventory moving forward, because after 7 years of reselling experience now, or going on 7 years, I'm picking up better stuff. Like I don't have as much bad buys. So I'm kind of excited about that, but at the same time, it's left for a slightly slow week or two. So yeah, I got a question here. Zeke asked, Mike, do you have to deal with the star testing? Yes, I am in a star tested class, which can be a nightmare. And the state of Texas is actually, they're trying to pass a bill to get rid of star testing. But because of star testing, and I was going to kind of bring that up in my random stories. So do you mind if I jump into random stories now, Orlando? Or
It's fine. Are we an educational podcast now?
We're not an educational podcast, but it does kind of connect to just what we do, which is hustle, right? Because Orlando, if you remember, it was about this time last year, maybe like a month or two earlier than this last year, where you and I had like a long phone call where I was like, Orlando, I don't know what path I want to take. Like part of me is thinking,
I remember that.
Do I just jump on full-time reselling? Like, do I just like bite the bullet, figure this out? There's a potential for a promotion at work. Do I take that? If I do that, I don't know if I'm going to have the time for the podcast and for reselling the way I am now. I was kind of at a fork in the road, and being the hustlers that we're always trying to be, I was like, you know what? What if I can have the best of both worlds, right? Like it's going to be super draining for a little while, but I'm going to suck it up. I'm going to take on this new role at my job, and I'm going to have way more responsibilities, way more time commitments, and I'm still going to push forward on reselling. And that has been, I think, the right move. I maybe could have gone full time and been doing okay. But man, my total income that I'm making now is so much higher than I think it would have been this year had I just gone full time reselling. And part of that, with that question of do I have the star testing, the last couple of years here, I've put so much work into both efforts, right? The podcast and reselling, and then also in just my normal 9 to 5. And I know a lot of our listeners are part-time sellers. Like this isn't their everything. And we have a lot of people who are full-time resellers, but for those of you who are part-time resellers, although you can't give 100% in everything because you only have 100% of you to give, so you kind of have to give certain amount of energies, you can schedule your day where you give 100% of the time allocated for this job to this job. And you give 100% of the time and energy you have during your off hours for your family and then for your eBay business. And by doing that, by really working hard, going back to that star test question, I actually just today received a very hefty check from my district, but because I was honored by the state of Texas for having significant star growth scores, like top tier level, to the point of it's just.
Okay. Can I share?
It's one of those things where it's good to be
your
rewarded. No, not that award. I got a different award. I got an award that came with a big paycheck today.
I know, but let's not listen. Mike's being humble. Okay, Mike got Teacher of the Year award for where he's at. So let's be real. Like
I did that.
Mike is next level.
I did get Teacher of the Year, and then also I received an exemplary teacher recognition for the state of Texas, which is like only the top, I don't know, 4 or 5% or something like that of teachers in Texas get it. And it came with, like I said, a good stipend, which it just goes to show, like, when you put in work somewhere, you put in the effort, like there's going to be return. And so the reason this connects to reselling is the same thing is true for reselling. If you go into reselling, the reason why the top 4 or 5% of teachers in Texas are awarded that kind of additional stipend and salary is because those are people putting in effort that a lot of people don't put in. It's just what it comes down to. Sometimes it's maybe, circumstances, but there's a lot of people who just float. There's a lot of people who just do the bare minimum in any situation, any job they're in. And there's a lot of people, and there have been times with reselling for me, I've been that way, where it's just like, I'm just kind of on float mode, where I'm just kind of staying stagnant. But the truth is, you can't stay stagnant. Like, you are either improving or you're moving backwards. And so there is not like I mean, maybe there are some eBay awards. When we went to eBay Open, they were awarding people different stores for like a good story that they had and how they used reselling to, for charity and various things. So there are awards that you can get as a reseller.
But I wonder if eBay would ever give like most profitable, right? Most hustle. Like it's always like, I feel like the participation trophies. No offense to anyone.
No, but who cares, right? Because I don't need eBay to like honor me with something, even though that'd be kind of cool. I get money, right? Like if I'm reselling harder, if I improve, eBay could never even notice me. And if I just made an extra $50,000 this year on reselling, then I won, right? Like that's the thing, is like if you're willing to put in that work, you're going to get positive return.
So you bring up an important point. Like we started this podcast, right? It's pure hustle podcast, right? And we, in the early days, right? I was very big on Gary Vee. I'm returning back to being big on Gary Vee, in the sense that there's this motivation that like, if you are passionate about something, like you will love the process, right? That's one of his big things, and you will be driven, right? And sometimes that grind takes 4 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, right, to catch your stride. And I find the same thing with reselling. So I want to encourage all the new people that are reselling. They're like, hey, how do I get to 6 figures? How do I get to higher 6 figures, right? Because I think even 6 figures, I think, is very doable. The difficulty, I would say, is when you try to get your eBay business to go north of $250,000. That's when it becomes tough. I would say if you're trying to get net $250,000, that's when it becomes really difficult. But there are people that do it, right? So I really do believe. Go ahead.
Oh no, it's all yours.
I saw the comment. Yeah, no, I really do believe though that whatever it is, like Mike put his attention to his passion, to his drive, and Mike excelled, right? Far beyond excelled. I knew that about Mike already, though. Like, I think in that conversation, I was like, Mike, I think you should stick to what you're really good at. You're good at reselling, but I know you're really good at being a teacher. Like, you are phenomenal. I have told Mike many times, if he was ever willing to come out to the Bay Area, he has a place to work, right? I am good at what I do. I'm still like, I'm not going to get to a place that I'm excellent at what I do, because this is a whole new world that I'm in right now. I would say where I was at before, I was really good at, and then I applied that hustle into reselling, and I was able to make my reselling take off and live a different life as a result of reselling. But I want to encourage everyone that's listening, right? Make sure it's something you're passionate about. Make sure you're driven. And if you're reselling and you're not really driven by, being able to flex on social media and all that, that's okay. Maybe what drives you is your family, right? Maybe what drives you is the time that you're able to have. Like, hey, I'm willing to put in 60 to 80 hours a week, knowing that in the summer I can take a month-long vacation and I can travel the world from all the eBay money that I'm making, right? So now I'm not promising Lambos, but you can put in that hustle. That's so good. There's some comment. Okay. Go ahead. That was what I was going to talk about.
So we got this comment. It says, eBay used to give out certificates. They stopped that years ago. You know what we should do, Orlando? We should do a Pure Hustle podcast, like Hustle of the Year certificate, where we do a whole competition where we take like maybe the top 20 hustles like of the week that we've done, and then like put them into brackets and people like vote on them, and then like have an award that goes out with like a Pure Hustle Hustle of the Year certificate, plus maybe, I don't know, like a gift card to my bubble
to Buc-ee's.
To Buc-ee's, to American Bubble Boy or something like that. So
there you go. No, it's good. It's good. I want to address this one too that came from Items from the South. Says, I've sold on eBay for 26 years. I have moved my store to 5 different times. Oh, that's brutal. I've moved twice, and I never want to move again with my stuff. Now, I am grateful I moved with my stuff, because if I didn't move with my stuff, I'd be missing out on income every single month, right? I would have to go outsourcing again. Luckily, I have about 2,000 items in my store right now, and I'm getting consistent sales, and it's helping, not only pay the bills, but be able to help my son with college, be able to, go out and have a good time. If I want to go out to dinner, to take somebody out, I can do that without stressing, because I have that extra income. So I would definitely keep things going. Hey, before we move on, though, I do want to talk about my Reseller Genie. My Reseller Genie is one of our amazing friends, Paul and Faith. They are resellers, and they created software for resellers where you can track your profit and loss. And most importantly, it allows you to import all your eBay stuff, all your Poshmark stuff, to be able to create tax documents, a Schedule C, and so on, that you can give to your tax person. So if you're stressing Maybe you didn't get your taxes done on time. Maybe you're like, I need some kind of bookkeeping software. Check out my Reseller Genie. If you use our code Pure Hustle, you'll get 15% off the first month, and I guarantee, I can't guarantee, but 99% promise that you will probably stick with my Reseller Genie because of all the different things it provides for you. So check it out again, my Reseller Genie. Use our code Pure Hustle. Okay, I want to get into our random stories.
Yeah, what's your random? I gave mine.
Well, it deals with what Zizzle Pug 3 here says. I haven't had an unpaid item in a long time. Has eBay fixed it finally? Maybe buyers just cancel now since it's easier than just not to pay. And my answer to this is no, eBay has not fully fixed it yet. And I can tell you that because I had a very painful experience this past week. So I almost had one of my best sales of all time this past week. Now, I did, by the way, I want to let everybody to my Nintendo World Champ shirt. You know the shirt I'm talking about, Mike?
Yeah.
The 19. I did get offered by Mike Trout. Now, I don't know if it was the baseball guy, but somebody called Mike Trout, offered me $3,000 for it, and I turned it down because I think it's worth more. And I have sentimental attachment to a shirt that I never bought or wore or had anything to do with, but it's a cool shirt. So I didn't. Mike, I left Mike's look of disapproval when I say that. I got to get close to 10K for that shirt. I got to. Now, I had something come through, and it was, somebody had accepted my offer, and they accepted was for $2,496 plus shipping. It's like, what? This is amazing. And it was one of my electric guitars that I picked up as part of a haul that I paid. I don't know. I paid like I paid $250 for everything. It's a nice sale. 2.4K, beautiful sale. So I'm expecting, hey, anytime now the money's going to come through. This is going to be amazing because then now I can, I can pay off some of my son's college bill. I can take care of a few things in my car. Like, I'll be golden. Guess what happened, Mike?
What happened?
They never paid. And that's it. I didn't get anything. I didn't get a message. And you can't even message. So eBay still has this crazy option for people where they can accept an offer and the listing stays live, but you can't really, like, you could kind of trace, if you go into your emails, you can find the user, you can message them. But to me, it's like, do you really want to chase somebody who said they were going to pay for something and they don't want to pay it? Because I always look at that opportunity, it's going to end up being a return. So there's no point in pursuing that. I got to tell you, I was bummed. I was like, I have not had a sale that good in I would say a few years, right? And it was easy because everything was already in the guitar case. All I would have to do is maybe bubble wrap it one more time. Maybe, I don't know if I would even have to float the box. I would just put cardboard around it.
Are you yawning on me, Orlando?
I am sorry. I'm fighting everything I can not to yawn.
It's early there, man. It's late here.
I know.
What are you doing?
Well, we've always had a rule, like, right? We don't yawn or cough on the podcast, and I think we've been pretty good about that. But, every once in a while, things do slip in there. So, I'm really bummed. Really bummed. I really would hope eBay will fix that. I think that's the one thing that is still broken. But outside of that, I really do not get situations where people do not pay. It is very, very rare. All right, so that you already gave your random story, correct? So maybe it's time for us to move to our reseller topics.
All right, here we go. The new eBay CFO. Consumers beating scalpers on eBay. Tariffs moving more to looking at vintage goods. And eBay trend report. All this and more on Reseller News. Orlando, take it away.
All right, so there's a few. The reason I bring this up with the new eBay CFO is because I think it's a good thing. And the reason I say it's a good thing is because I really do believe eBay is recognizing, and I think they've recognized for a while. Now, I'm not a fan of everything that's taking place, but I think the new CEO, Jamie Ione, who's not new, he's been around for 3 years now, maybe 4. I think he's done a good job of establishing the collector base, right? So, going after the card business, going after the collectibles, establishing that collaboration with Ken Golden and Golden, I think it's been really good. And so I think eBay recognizes that they'll never be Amazon, but they can be the top business when it comes to vintage and collectible goods. And so this new CFO was around when eBay was good back in 1999. and now they are back, which is pretty great. But what I caught on there, it said, I'm looking to continue to return things back to the vintage and collectibles that the eBay has been always known for. And I thought that is great, right? That is good for all of us. I think right now, most people that listen to the podcast, they're not drop shippers. They don't buy stuff from China. And by the way, these tariffs are killing me. Like, I'm buying stuff now, and I got a message today. I was trying to buy some award for something, and I bought it for like 25% less. And they messaged me and like, due to the tariffs, like the prices are higher. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I do think that the tariffs are going to help us out. But we'll talk about that in a moment here. I think the thing I wanted to shift here was the idea that it's a good thing that eBay moved away, right? Remember, we've talked about that. eBay tried to be Amazon. eBay tried to do managed delivery at one point in time, right? eBay was trying to compete, and I think eBay has done a really good job. And it's even better now because Poshmark, I think, is having major issues. I don't know if you've been in the social media Instagrams and all that, but there's a lot of discussion because eBay has been banning people for, ending listings and doing the self-similar or whatever way you do it on Poshmark.
eBay is or Poshmark is?
No, sorry. Poshmark is. And I think that's just very poor decision-making on Poshmark. I'm not sure why they decided to go down that road, but there's a lot of talk on social media. And I think that's going to push a lot of shoppers, not shoppers, but a lot of sellers away from Poshmark, which in the end leads to less shoppers because there's less inventory. So I'm not really sure why Poshmark thought that was in their best interest. So what does this mean? This means that eBay has an opportunity to take even more of the market share of the reselling space that they had lost previously to Poshmark, and now they get to have a hold of that. So I thought that was really interesting. I'm not sure why they went down that road, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah,
right,
I mean, the hard part is like with something like with Poshmark, yeah, of course it does have a smaller market cap than eBay does. It reaches a smaller number of people. I don't think Poshmark kind of hit the way, other things have. But again, I'm confident that for the most part, Gen Z, especially like Gen Z girls, aren't looking at eBay. I feel like eBay in a lot of ways is kind of a little bit older generation coded and like a little bit probably more male. I'd be interested to see the demographics on eBay. Maybe that's publicly available. I'm not sure. But if I were to guess, I would probably imagine it's probably leans more male than female. Whereas Poshmark would be the opposite, right? Poshmark is leaning a little bit more female and younger. So part of that, I think, is user interface, right? Like a lot of times guys will go to Home Depot and shop and not think twice about it. Whereas like wives often want to go and shop at Lowe's. And that's kind of what they're known for. They're known for being a prettier store with prettier items that are packaged differently. And it presents less of like, hey, come in, this is a store for contractors, and more of like, hey, come in, we've got some home decor and you can do some home improvement stuff here. And so I think that part of that is that kind of translates that the different ways the stores look and lay out and their stuff to like the user interface of eBay versus the user interface of Poshmark. And so I don't think eBay did a good job of rolling out things like the live selling, like trying to catch that whatnot crowd.
Yeah.
But in some way they need to adapt either their user interface if they want to try and capture that crowd. Because the branding is hard to change. I mean, eBay is known for what eBay is known for. So user interface change or like a separate like side part of eBay where it's like, this is like eBay closet or something. And it looks more like the types of social media selling platforms where a lot of younger girls are going to buy used clothes and buy things like that. So if eBay is notoriously slow for changing their interface, and maybe that's a good thing, right? Like maybe they stick with what's working, but I feel like they've got to do something.
Yeah, it's interesting. I forgot to pull up this for the reseller topics, but I did see a recent thing that like Depop is pretty up there, like especially amongst Gen Z and Gen Alpha. And so I really, this to me, it's another, like, this is the death of Poshmark. I give Poshmark 2 more years. So clip that right now and we'll replay this. I give Poshmark. Remember, I could have clipped Poshmark. I said it back in the day that Poshmark's shipping, the way they had it in the beginning, where remember you could ship anything priority and it was only like $5. I remember I said it's not sustainable. And I said that in a year or two, they're going to start charging more. And sure enough, that's what happened. Because for whatever reason, Poshmark, whoever is running the show does not understand that, in the end, yeah, people do like, having closets, I guess, and like being chic and stylish and all that. But in the end, people want the bottom line, right? They want that profit. And so Poshmark is not, I think, doing the best moves to bring profitability to people. All right, this next one here. All right, I want to try to address this. All right, I'm gonna address this one. It says Orlando, victim shaming is not cool. You aren't really owning it. If you're putting it back on the buyer, you messed up. Take the hit and move on, dude. Yeah, I agree. I don't know about victim shaming. I don't know. I don't know if anybody's a victim here. I think
they bought an item and you canceled it.
Is that victim? Victims like something bad happened. In consumerism, are there victims? I guess I don't know. Okay, maybe, but yeah, I own it. Tara, thank you for that. Yeah, I like I said before, it's on me. It's on me. I had an item. I thought it sold. Whether it was an eBay glitch, whether it was something that got packed away and I couldn't find it, I have no idea what happened. No idea. But yeah, it is what it is. So appreciate that. I don't know about the victim shaming. I feel that's kind of harsh, but it's all good. All right, hey, this next story, I thought this was kind of interesting. This is from IGN. IGN says Nintendo fans post fake Switch 2 auctions to flood eBay and drown out scalper listings. It says Nintendo fans are clapping back at scalpers by creating fake listings for the Nintendo Switch 2 on the auction sites, flooding the site and make it more difficult for buyers to find scalper listings. And I got to tell you, I'm kind of intrigued by this because it's really hard for people right now. I remember when the first Nintendo Switch came out, like I had to stay out in line for like 3 hours. I did not want to have to deal with buying online. I remember PlayStation 5. I waited like a year and a half till the whole market calmed down. But I'm not mad about it. Like this is part of the business, right? This is what we do, right? We provide an item for people. If people aren't able to find it, then sometimes you got to pay a little bit more, and that's just the way it is. But I think it's just interesting how people are trying to just put an end to the reselling business of Nintendo Switch 2.
But honestly, like who's going back to the idea of victim? Like who's the real victim in that situation? Like maybe the target is the scalpers, but think of the reputation that's soon to eBay. People are going to go, I'm not even going to go to eBay to buy stuff like that. Cause I mean, that's a place I would go to buy a console, right? Like I'd consider buying a console on eBay, but if I knew that like, hey, probably half these listings are fake, I'm not, this site is whack. I'm not buying stuff on this site, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. You're right. Right. Like, is it the scalpers or is it, what about the person that actually has a Switch 2, right? And they bought it for their kid and the kid's like, oh, I don't want this anymore. And now they try to list it, but they will never sell it because of all the fake listings. So anyways, it's just interesting. I just thought that was pretty fascinating. All right. Our next topic here, eBay ends up. Oh, this one. I thought this was good. So, Fortune put out an article that basically saying that America will become one big garage sale because of the tariffs. Now, I don't. Okay, hold on. Upstate Picker says, hold on. I want to address this. They were selling screenshot photos of their confirmation. Well, yeah, you know what? That is a thing, though. That is a thing. Like that's what people do when they sell things online. So again. Photoshop, like again, if people get scammed by that, like that's on people. Like I don't know. All right, so this next story was basically discussing the idea that the tariffs is causing people to go into the resale market to buy secondary goods, and I really do think that's happening now. How much have the tariffs really affected us? I can't say for sure. I can say for myself personally, it hasn't affected much. I have seen higher grocery prices, but I think it's been like that for months. I don't know. I went to Costco the other day with my son, and I was like, "What? This is like twice what I paid like 6 months ago, right?" But maybe it's because I just haven't bought certain things in a long time. But I will say, if we get to a place where the tariffs do make an impact, I think it's a win for us here on eBay. So I would continue sourcing. I would continue listing, and overall, right, American goods most of the time are better goods, right? They're better made, they're quality, especially like in the vintage clothing. This is why the vintage clothing market is big, because people recognize like the quality in some of that clothing.
Well, one ultimately, like, because again, you got to think long term, right? Like, you got to think long term, even with like the tariff effects. Any prices that went up right away after tariffs were announced that was fake price raises, maybe, or just raises in anticipation of the impact, because it's the supply chain, right? Like, if it's things that are selling now are things that have already been, like, the chips, the pieces, the components that were manufactured in China and moved to another plant and then brought here and then made in another city and then sent up to Canada, and then that part was, it takes time before a tariff in one place really affects the pipeline. So that's like delayed. So any impacts of tariffs is going to take a little bit before we really see. So any price raises in the beginning was just people saying, well, in 4 months from now, my prices are going to be higher, so I need to raise prices now to anticipate that. Like that's pretty much all that would have been. There may be some things that move a little bit faster if you're getting complete finished goods, like stuff from Temu, right? Like, it's just coming straight from China complete like that. But that's not most items. But again, thinking long term of, if it takes time, but if more jobs move into America, look, Orlando, we sell things international, right? But would you, what percentage of your sales are international?
I would say like 25%. 25.
25% is international?
Yeah.
Okay, even if that's the case, 25, I wouldn't experience that. I'm interested, maybe people in the comments can say what percentage of theirs go international. I'm probably closer to 5 to 10% in any given month. But if most of your sales are coming from America, that means it needs to be people who have money in America, and they need to have jobs that give them money in America. And so if more people in America have jobs that are paying well because more jobs have moved back to America, again, that long term, is that going to happen like this year? No. But like, as those jobs begin to be created, as people begin to have more wealth for themselves, they can spend that wealth. So it's like long term impacts. That's kind of what you're looking for. And so it's like short term, the benefit we might have as eBay resellers is people are going to be turning to used goods because, hey, I'd rather buy something that's like good than like a Chinese, knockoff, whatever, cheap garbage that's going to break in a couple of months, because the prices are basically equivalent of just buying something that's good here, even if it's used. And then, so that's going to benefit us as resellers. And then long term, if we're looking at 3 or 4 years down the road, if more people in America have more money in their pockets, that means more money is going to be spent, which, even if 75% of your sales are coming from in the States, that means that you're going to have more buyers in the States with expendable cash.
Yeah, no, it's true.
So it's a benefit it's benefit in the short term for us if there's a crunch from the tariffs, and a benefit long terms for us if jobs move back. So it's like, either way, we're going to be benefiting.
Yeah, I'm good. Again, what I love about reselling is that it's resilient, right? No matter what's taking place, you can always make things happen. All right, this last one here. So eBay appoints Bree Welch as resident stylist and debuts eBay Watch Plus trend report. So like the number one like brand was Louis Vuitton, and then for like shoes it was like Birkenstock. So they have this watch list, and I think it's great. It's like another tool, right, for you to be able to source. Now, I would not, I personally wouldn't source this. So for example, in 2025, the top brands were Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Burberry, Prada, and Chanel as far as luxury. And I'm like, yeah, those are items if you want to get zeroed that you should source, but I would not mess with those. And then when it came to brands on the rise, right? Brands like Birkenstock and Tombolo are climbing the same ladder as Alea and Bulgari. I don't even know these brands. But, they're growing in size. So I thought this was pretty good. I would just Google eBay trending sale report, and it'll give you everything you need to know. But again, it's great in the sense that I think eBay is trying to just, kind of delve into the thrifting world a little bit, which I got to tell you, people love to thrift. Like it's interesting, now that I'm back in school, now our school, they do wear like uniforms and stuff, but I can, off on the off hours, I'm like, all these kids are thrifting. Like they're all thrifting. And I think that's going to bleed into eBay, right? If people need to find items. But look at this. The cowboy dress code is right into new territory that feels softer, looks sleeker, and has a touch of glamour. So these are some brands that people are looking for. 37 searches per minute for Wrangler. 19 searches per minute for plaid. 23 searches per minute for flannel. And 20 searches per minute for Timberland, right? Like, who would have thought that? So, anyways, I think it's good. I think eBay is doing a great job when it comes to trying to figure out what's trending, trying to figure out what sells, and so just check it out. Again, eBay is really good. So, Samantha Andrews says here, we need to embrace that we are a global economy and this country does not have the ability to manufacture everything it needs. No country is self-sufficient. Oh, this is a huge conversation here about free trade. Even Mike and I have disagreeing viewpoints on all this, but I just want to stick to I don't disagree with you. I'm a big free trade kind of guy, like old school Milton Friedman kind of free trade kind of guy. But when it comes to reselling, I think tariff or no tariffs, I think we're going to be good. I think tariffs will lead to us being better off. I think Q4 may look really good for us if the tariffs do have certain effects, but we'll just have to wait and see. Hey, before we move on from our reseller topics, I want to invite everyone who has not yet, jumped on over to the YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, come on over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, click that bell notification so you're notified whenever we drop a random episode or we go random live. Also, appreciate every single one of you that follows on social media. I may go out there again this weekend. I'm not 100% sure, but when I do, I always love posting on Instagram. And so, and by the way, I've been in talks with K-Way. I don't know, K-Way, Wayne, if you're listening. I know a week ago, you and I were talking about making new, fresh YouTube, Instagram reels, and I kind of failed on that. I just remembered I did not send you that stuff. But we plan on posting on social media again. And so if you haven't followed us, we are Pure Hustle Podcast on all platforms, except we are Pure Hustle Cast on Twitter or X. Thank you for all of you that continue to support us and send us emails. If you want to send us an email, you can find us. We are purehustlepodcast@gmail.com, purehustlepodcast@gmail.com. And also, I am very grateful for all of you that have taken the time to write iTunes reviews about the podcast. They always help us in the algorithm. And we are grateful, especially to those of you that leave us those 5 stars and tell people why you love the podcast. So I just want to share the 2 most recent reviews here. Just want to say thank you. Actually, I'm going to share just the last one because this person has listened to many episodes. All right. So said, fill the scavenger life size hole. I'm guessing the rest of it was in my heart. This is from Retro Treasures from West Virginia. Sorry, I'm reading the comments. I shouldn't read comments. So they said here, I tried this show years ago in the early days when it was Amazon centric and did not like it. Remember those days, Mike? That was like the very beginning. Like I was all about Amazon, right?
Yep.
I tried it again based on a recommendation. Awesome. See, I'm telling you, these recommendations help. And it says, as I haven't listened to a reselling podcast since Scavenger Life ended. And I got to tell you, the Scavenger Life, OGs, like I really miss Scavenger Life. We try to collab. So Scavenger Life, if you're listening to us right now for some random reason, reach out to us, purehustlepodcast@gmail.com. Would love to collab on an episode. I think it'd be really cool. Orlando talked about Scavenger Life, really sealed the deal for me, and I've been binging ever since. I listen every day on my day job work commute, and it just feels like I'm hanging out with some buddies talking reselling. Thanks for the show, fellas. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Retro Treasures. I really, really appreciate that comment. And last of all, this is our 450th free episode. We have never charged. We've never had a paywall. Many of the reasons, no money. Many of the reasons has been because of our Patreon supporters. So if you have not supported us on Patreon yet, I invite you to do so. Go to patreon.com/PureHustlePodcast or go to the link below for $5.55 a month. Right? I got to tell you, coffee is expensive. Here in the Bay Area, coffee is a big deal. Like everybody likes this thing called Phil's Coffee. I've actually started drinking coffee now, which is kind of weird. I never thought I'd be that guy, but I'm slowly becoming. I'm not a coffee connoisseur. I just had like a couple cups last week, but that was more than I had in the last 5 years. But cheaper than a cup of coffee at Phil's or Starbucks or wherever you go, you can help us and you can join the Discord. Once you join the Patreon, that gives you access to our Discord, and you can join hundreds of people in the Pure Hustle Podcast community, from resellers on Amazon to vintage sellers to booksellers to just people that are just out there hustling every single day, which they're solid resellers. So check us out. Again, go to patreon.com/PureHustlePodcast or go to the link below. All right, before we talk about our Bobo Bolos, I want to share this comment right here. This one right here. I'm sorry. Can we circle back to why Orlando turned down $3,000 for a T-shirt? I don't get it.
Because he
wanna
wants 10 grand. Because you're being greedy. Have you ever played the game Pass the Pigs? I feel like that's what you're playing right now. You're like, nope, let it ride. Let it ride.
You know the worst part about it? You know how much I paid for that shirt?
I don't know, like
Do you remember?
$5.
Zero. It was a freebie and a stack of free shirts. So
Makes me
Yeah.
sick.
there we are. Hey,
You're just a collector. Just admit it. You're not a reseller. You're a collector, and you resell to keep your
Just-
collecting hobby going.
No.
And you don't even know what you collect. You just collect whatever you find. That's interesting.
That's not true. All right. Hey, A Loomis 85 says, have you guys heard much about the SADs for or Schedule A defendant lawsuits that are hitting small sellers? They are serving people via email only, and it's a legit lawsuit. No, that is brand new to me. Maybe Mike, do you want to chat GPT it so we can figure out what it is?
Yeah, I'll figure out what's going on.
I will tell you, we do have the first sale doctrine that protects us as resellers. That the idea basically is, as long as we're the ones that purchase it, we can do whatever we want with it. There are some companies that try to go around that rule and say, well, you can't really resell it because you can't offer the same warranty that we have, and so therefore we have the ability to stop you from selling it. Companies have not been successful. Here's what happens sometimes. These big companies, and this happened with me a lot on Amazon, they have some random law firm that they hire, and these people, these up and coming new lawyers, they will try to scare you. They'll send you a letter, and it's a cease and desist letter. I always advise for people to cease and desist, like just be done with it, pull the inventory, don't mess with it, because even if you battle it and you win, it's going to cost you a lot of money and may not be worth it. Now, there is insurance out there that you can get representation and so on. But I would say, it's not worth it. But yeah, there's been lawsuits like people that have sold Patagonia or people that have sold different other brands. But I don't know, Mike, did you get some info on this one?
No.
Not much. Okay, so A Loomis 85, while we do bolos, if you could inform us a little bit about what these lawsuits are, it'd be great for us to chat here on the podcast. But let's get into our bolos.
What's your bolo?
All right. So my bolo, you know how the younger kids, this new up and coming generation kind of got back into vinyl. Like not really, like they're not really getting like the old school vinyl but there's like new artists are putting out vinyls, and people have got like record players. But most of the time the record players they have come from like, big box stores that are like kind of almost pretend record players. They're not like vintage. Some people get into the vintage stuff. But that kind of came back, and there's also a push. There seems to be a continual push for people enjoying the older, simpler way of things. And we've talked about that with phones and other stuff. But there's been a big push for people to have less distractions, whether it's phones or computers. And so there's been a lot of new technology coming out, which basically are like computers that don't do nothing but typewrite. So it's basically like a digital typewriter. And the idea is it's like distraction free. Like you can't access the internet with it. All you're doing is like, it's like a Google Word doc only on a computer. And a lot of people have kind of gotten into that. That was trending a little while ago. I haven't really noticed that being huge recently, but that general push towards that has continued. And so that being said, I've sold several typewriters. They tend to be, if you get the right ones, a good sale. They're heavy, so you gotta pay up on shipping a little bit. But I was just reminded that vintage typewriters, the people who are going down that path, some of them are like, yeah, this is cool, but this is just a computer with Word on it. Like it's an overpriced typewriter. I want the tactile experience of typing and watching the hammer hit and typing up something. And so there is still a growing niche, I feel like, of people who want to use actual typewriters. And so I was looking at one the other day. Unfortunately, the model was just not worth the price I was going to have to pay for it. But every once in a while, you run into some typewriters that you can sell for really good money. I think we've had some hustles of the week in the past of typewriters, I think even recently, that have done really, really well. So my bolo is just vintage typewriters. Anytime you're at a thrift store, garage sale, and you see one, take the time to look it up, because there's a lot of them that sell for pretty good money.
Let me put a side note though. As long as you're willing to ship it, right? That's the biggest part of it. Like
Yep.
as long as you're willing.
Yeah,
to
they're
ship
heavy.
it. So, now I want to add to that, and I've mentioned this bolo before, but I thought why not? The other day I was, you know how I've been traveling to San Diego because I still teach classes. I fly back to San Francisco. So when I was down in San Diego, I was in this facility kind of like one of the facility guys at this place that I work at, and I saw a bunch of old mouses, like not mouses, like the computer mouses, on a shelf, and one of them was one of those tracking ball ones. You know what I'm talking about with the red ball?
Yeah, like the ergonomic red ball one. Use your thumb.
Yeah, those, right? That's a bolo. Like they're not big sellers, but they do sell pretty well. So if you ever see any kind of mouse with a big red ball, I would definitely scoop it up. I mean, I'm looking right now, like the Logitech TrackMan Marble Wheel Thumb Trackball mouse, $28 plus shipping, right? And it's easy to ship, right? You can get it for cheap. There's another one here. There's the two trackballs. They got two of them red ones for $25, right? So even if you can't test the mouse, maybe you just take that out. You can just sell that. But there's money, especially if you find these dead stock. You're gonna make some good money. I'm looking at dead stock right now. You're talking about like $100, right, for some of these, especially for the Sanwa wireless trackball mouse Gravi 400. You're talking about $100 for these. Okay, so keep an eye out for that big red ball, right? Yes, somebody said you mean a trackball. Yes, with the ball on top. Yes, that's exactly what I mean, Lisa. Thank you for clarifying that. Be aware that to me that is a bolo. Not huge money makers, but you can get it for pretty cheap and it's easy to ship. I would definitely keep an eye for those. Upstate Picker here says, I got a cease and desist for a product. I have an entire shed full of other sellers still selling products on eBay too. Isn't that crazy? Again, one of my complaints among many about eBay was that why does eBay let you list things that it knows you can't list? Right? Why doesn't it just warn you and say, hey, by the way, just to let you know, this is not allowed? Like, I would think with AI, it would be able to pick up the keywords and you'd be able to be warned about, like, hey, maybe I shouldn't sell this, right? Maybe, and when you're sourcing, especially, like, it would be really nice when you're doing the research and it tells you, like, eBay alert, like, don't pick up this item, right? It would be really helpful. I don't know. So sorry about that, Upstate Picker. I've been there before. Okay, hey, Loomis85 got back to us, said, and talking about that lawsuit, said, I'll run out of space to go into detail. It was a Vera on eBay where a notification was sent by eBay with the warning as the seller didn't know about the infringement policy, followed by a lawsuit by owner. So, interesting. Okay, so, again, just be careful. Again, if you get a cease and desist, to me, it's not worth the battle. Just be careful about that. But remember, if it is a legitimate loss, this is not legal advice. Not legal advice. My understanding is you will get a certified letter. That emails are not enough to legitimize something, but I could be wrong. Again, disclaimer, I could be wrong, but I do believe it's supposed to be a certified letter, kind of like when you get served with papers, right? It's a certified document that you receive, so be aware of that. But again, do your own research because I'm not 100% sure about that. All right, Mike, what are you looking forward to here?
I'm looking forward to the summer. I've got lots of big plans. I'm looking forward to having some time off to maybe do a little bit more sourcing on like the Thursday, Friday garage sales that happen, even though garage sales kind of tick down in the summer here because of the heat, but estate sales are up. And so during the school year, I just don't get to go to those. And so I'm kind of excited for that. I'm getting close. Only one more week left of school for me. What about you? What are you looking forward to?
I'm kind of the same right now. I do have a lot of work trips I'm going on too, but I kind of, the nice thing about my son being back, he's back from college. We kind of had an agreement that it's a lot easier to sell things in my store than his store because my store has, the feedback and my store has, top rated seller, and, all that stuff. And so I'm going to kind of have him like take over the business a little bit. I still will source, but he's going to be doing a lot of the pictures, a lot of the listing. And I think we're truly going to be able to scale the store again. And so it'd be interesting. What if I could start making full-time money in the summer, right, while still doing what I'm doing? I don't know. It'd be interesting. Okay, we're going to end on this last question. Do you want to end with that question, Mike? Do you see it?
Sure. Yeah, let's go. So we got here, boys, what's the end game for the two of you? I mean, I don't see reselling going away for either of us. And honestly, I'm really thinking, I mean, we always talk about like grand plans for the podcast. I think the summer with some traveling and other things, it's going to be a bad time to really start. But I really do think that probably within the next couple of years, we're really going to increase back to like our original days of the podcast, a couple more episodes, back to book reviews. And, you know, we're really just enjoying what we're doing. I mean, I think if we were to try and make this our full-time job, I mean, Orlando and I could probably find a way to get a Patreon group, Discord group going and really turn just this like influencing aspect of reselling into a job. I don't think that's what we want, but we'll continue to grow slowly and with integrity with what we're doing. And, I think a small but mighty and continually growing audience is a good thing for us. I think we enjoy doing what we're doing. And I mean, look, we started in San Diego in a studio, and then we went to, you know, Orlando made a studio in his house because we no longer had that place. To I moved to Texas and he was at his house in his studio. To now he's moved to San Francisco. Like, we've never let the podcast stop, and so I don't think there's no way we're slowing down. If anything, we'll just continue to improve, get better at what we're doing, and maybe come up with even some better sound effects and stuff. That's what I think the end goal is.
There you go. All right, hey, real quick though, I'm gonna share mine, but Illumis85, I just want to go back to the lawsuit. Says I thought so as well, meaning that it had to be a certified letter, but it says but the email of the lawsuit was confirmed through a local lawsuit office. Shocking, that's legal. Local law office said it's okay because the sales were done online. Interesting. So we will see. Real quick, Lightwear. We'll see. Thank you, Alumis, for that information. Lightwear says, just passing by. Thanks for all these tears, guys, and for everything coming. I'm like, oh
Years.
man,
Years.
I know, but I like how I read it, right? Tears of joy, tears of happiness.
Tears of joy. That's
All
right.
right, let's go back to our end question here. The end game. What's the end game? So for me, I never see myself ending reselling ever. Now, will there be a maybe opportunity for me to kind of scale down a little bit more, take it easy? I think those opportunities might be down the road, but for right now, like, I love it. It is something that everybody has hobbies, right? And for me, this is a hobby for me, and it's always been a hobby. Even when I was full time, it was a hobby for me. Even though people were like, "Oh, you need to treat it like a business," I did treat it like a business, but I always told myself, if it ever became something where I feel like I was just working just for the sake of working and making money, I didn't want to do this anymore. And it never got to that point. I didn't jump back into full-time education because of that reason. I got back into full-time education because I truly feel called to be in education. And, to me, there's something greater, something more transcendent than making money. And so that's what's important to me. But the end game for me is to continue doing this podcast as long as Mike and I agree to do the podcast. We see no end in sight. So the end game is this. The end game is we will always be dropping episodes. The end game is we will always be reselling. But the understanding is that this is a vehicle to get us where we need to go, or maybe a temporary pit stop, or at times maybe something that we go full-time when we need it to go full-time. So hopefully that answered that question. Upstate Picker, yes, one day we will have Hustle of the Year. Stay tuned. We'll see how that works out. But thank you for everyone that tunes in. Thank you for all the comments. Appreciate every single one of you. With that being said, make sure to be real.
Be relevant.
And be reselling late.
Peace.